even though this is the norm that we are living through, and we've changed everything we know about American culture to basically exist on this, Gen Z is saying, we want a little bit more than that. We want more substance. We want more purpose. And dating is maybe the best example of what that looks like. We're all unanimously deleting our dating apps. There are several articles that have come out in the last few months about how Match Group, which owns Tinder and Hinge and several other competing companies, is freaking out about how to retain Gen Z as a customer base because 90+% of us say we've had horrible experiences on the app. Gen Z women are overwhelmingly throwing away our birth control because no matter where you fall on the partisan political spectrum, no matter what your intimacy life looks like, we realize we're feeling really sick and we're slowly poisoning ourselves in the process. And why do I need to take this, to be honest with you? What a weird reality that's become normal. And 93% of us, a study just came out the other day, still want to get married in a time where we have the lowest marriage rate in American history, which is crazy to me. That in and of itself, that marriage is no longer a normal human institution in the United States. And yet 93% of our generation looks at that and says, even though that's not normal, I want that because it's better than what's normal. It offers more than what's normal. That should give you hope more than anything.
And I guess I would connect that to something else that we talk about on People of the Internet a lot, which is dating, because now you guys, in many respects, have sublimated this all into basically using one thumb and just clicking right or swiping right the entire time and knowing. So even if you found someone that you were matched with perfectly, you already know all the movies they like. You know exactly their favorite playlist on Spotify. You know what clothes they wear. You've seen all the pictures of them. You maybe have traded nudes already and everything else. And that it's removed like some of the mystery and magic of life. Like, I guess it feels to me like there's no like, I guess magic is really the only word I can come up. There's probably a better word, but like
mystery was a good one
mystery
too.
or magic. There's none of that left for your real life because of the way we've itemized everything. And again, I'm not anti-technology. It's just kind of the way it is, and it is a tool.
There is an episode of How I Met Your Mother, one of my favorite shows. Although it's literally just a shot-for-shot remake of Friends, basically, like to the same episode sometimes. And it's like, come on, be a little more creative. But they have a whole episode about this, about how everybody would stalk each other on Facebook at the time in the early 2000s, and you'd know everything about somebody before you showed up for a first date. You can't just pick somebody up in a bar anymore. Right. So they make a pact not to research each other. And of course, Ted breaks the pact and that ends up falling apart the whole episode. But it's true. You don't have an opportunity to really get to know someone over time anymore and build a foundation of trust and build the opportunity to develop shared hobbies and inside jokes because you literally know every single thing about someone by one glance at their Instagram feed or their Facebook profile, even though nobody uses Facebook anymore. And I feel really lucky to have escaped a lot of that. I met my fiance the old-fashioned way in person at that same Turning Point USA conference, I think, actually. And learning, what his favorite candy was, what his favorite movie was, and the bigger question is, how do you feel about
what's his
God?
favorite candy? I always think he's going to love...
Can you guess?
I always think it's gummy bears. We have this running joke with him that he loves gummy bears.
He likes gummy bears, but that's not his favorite.
Skittles? Is it Skittles?
No, although we ate a lot of Skittles that weekend when we met each other, because that's one of my favorite candies. Sour, chewy sweet tarts are his.
Sour.
No.
What?
Not the chewy.
Just
normal. Sorry.
Wow, we're being fact-checked in real time here. This is
normal
tough.
Sour sweet tarts, not the chewy. Got it. Sorry, I'm going to be in trouble later.
The fact that you even looked at the camera to do that shows that you are a content creator from Gen Z and all
I apologize to every party involved. But you're right. In the dating world, that has been narrowed down to a screen. But I think there's a lot of hope for that. And this is one example of why I chose to write this book, because even though this is the norm that we are living through, and we've changed everything we know about American culture to basically exist on this, Gen Z is saying, we want a little bit more than that. We want more substance. We want more purpose. And dating is maybe the best example of what that looks like. We're all unanimously deleting our dating apps. There are several articles that have come out in the last few months about how Match Group, which owns Tinder and Hinge and several other competing companies, is freaking out about how to retain Gen Z as a customer base because 90+% of us say we've had horrible experiences on the app. Gen Z women are overwhelmingly throwing away our birth control because no matter where you fall on the partisan political spectrum, no matter matter what your intimacy life looks like, we realize we're feeling really sick and we're slowly poisoning ourselves in the process. And why do I need to take this, to be honest with you? What a weird reality that that's become normal. And 93% of us, a study just came out the other day, still want to get married in a time where we have the lowest marriage rate in American history, which is crazy to me. That in and of itself, that marriage is no longer a normal human institution in the United States. And yet 93% of our generation looks at that and says, even though that's not normal, I want that because it's better than what's normal. It offers more than what's normal. That should give you hope more than anything else.
What does that tell you about the truth in general? So they're getting sent all the wrong messages. And then I had never heard this until you said it to me a few months ago, that Gen Z actually is breaking more conservative than at least the two previous generations.
Yeah.
What do you think that says about the truth in general, that you could get all the wrong messages, you could go down that path, and that somehow there's like a bumper, like it's bumper bowling, and something kind of pushes people back?
This is a great segue into the meat and potatoes of the end of the alphabet, because you're right. There is sort of this pendulum that's going back and forth between all of the generations. You can call it a bumper, you can call it whatever you want. But I say this all the time. What does every young generation have in common throughout all of human history? We want to rebel against the people who came before us. If you're a parent of teenagers, you'll know more than anyone else. Your teenagers say, you've never experienced what I've experienced. I'm going to do it my own way. And that happens at the 30,000 foot societal level too. 20, 30 years ago, being countercultural in America might have looked like spiking your hair and putting tattoos all over your body and piercing everything and putting a leather jacket on and sticking it to the man in a punk rock band.
Right.
But now sticking it to the man is quite literally believing there is such thing as objective truth, is wanting to get married instead of sleep with as many people as humanly possible and follow the advice of the manosphere or the radical feminism community. It's wanting to have kids in a society that's begging you don't have kids for the sake of your career, for the sake of the environment, for the sake of your personal life. We're moving out of big cities. I've been reading lots of big studies about this, that we want more suburban or rural areas to reconnect with nature. We're eating real food in a time where everything is hyper processed or full of chemicals or even grown in a laboratory. And perhaps most encouraging for me is that we're believing in something bigger than what's right in front of our face again. We're embracing God and belief in a higher power again, which nobody saw coming in our hyper atheistic society. But that is to be punk rock and countercultural, is to be conservative. And when I say that word, it doesn't necessarily mean like
this was already my next question, actually. So go ahead. You're good. We've done this before,
especially when I'm talking peer to peer, and they go, "I'm not conservative. What the heck are you talking about?" I don't mean politically. I vote for the Republican Party. I support every policy that Donald Trump absolutely loves. I think that will come, and we can dive into that in a little bit. But culturally, embracing traditional values in a conserving way, conservative in that sense, we are the most conservative generation America has seen since World War II, and it just seems to be trending further in that direction.
So let's go to that part that you just jumped over, that political part then.
So the late, great Andrew Breitbart is famous for saying that politics is always downstream from culture, that if you want to change who sits in the Oval Office or what Congress is debating on any given day, you have to start with changing how people live their day-to-day lives. We've seen the opposite, I think, of what's happening with Gen Z, with millennials and Gen Xers in your generation, unfold in real time throughout my lifetime in America. The left has strategically planted seeds for decades that they knew wouldn't take root quite yet, but were going to pay off in the long run, of overhauling the education system, trying to take over Hollywood and poison our brains with as much as they possibly could in the entertainment content that we were watching, taking over social media companies to make sure they could control the algorithm and see what you were engaging with every day, and sharing and saving and downloading. Mainstream media, obviously, we know that's been gone for a long time. So today, the left, the radical, authoritarian left, really has strategically gained control of every pillar of American culture, from the church to Hollywood to government and everything in between. And we've seen that happen because of culture now manifest with very disastrous political policies that are leading America in a race to the bottom for the rest of the world, that are seeing what can be possible, but in the wrong direction.
Right. So how do we hold those two ideas, that the generation is coming around, and also that, well, they've destroyed all the institutions in front of you? Like, do you think your generation, well, I suppose it's in the subtitle of the book, do you want to save those institutions? Do you want to rebuild all those institutions? I mean, what do you think the actual course will be?
Yes. both, depending on the
okay,
situation.
okay.
I think some institutions are absolutely worth saving, and some we just have to let go as an era of bygone American history, which is okay. That happens in every major revolutionary moment, 1776 moment, if you will, in our own country's history, but also in
I learned
global
about
history.
it because of cats. There was a cat video showing me
Well done, Dave. We love to see that. But whether that's reclaiming the institution of marriage, for example, which is quite traditional, or what Gen Z is doing educationally, foregoing traditional 4-year liberal arts degrees, which I now like to call leftist arts degrees, because let's be honest, what are you studying? Non-binary dance theory and race of my cat? I mean, that's just the dumbest thing ever, but that's what we're actually paying $250,000 to get a piece of paper for. We're realizing that's not really going to make me successful, even though everybody tells me it's going to. So I don't want to pay for that. I'll go to trade school, or I'll start my own business and be CEO on day one, which 62% of our generation has already done. So those cultural levers of power, be it our intimate personal relationships in the dating world and marriage, even our friendships, to education, to entrepreneurship and commerce, I think you're starting to see us pull the levers of power back culturally. And because of that, we know that's going to swing politically as well.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop screaming, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.